So that's going to bring us to Wine About It this week, presented by L'uva Bella Winery. And you know us, we try the wines that we have. Last week I tried the Passion Strawberry Lemonade. This week I got the Passion Blueberry Lemonade. So I'm going to go ahead and pour a glass here. Not drinking too much today. Nick and I were talking about this before the show. I'm kind of off the drinking wagon right now, and Nick's been so busy this week he doesn't want to drink. So You're not going to get our normal cracks, all
15 beer cracks or whatever.
Yeah, all episode, but we can take an episode off. But
for those of you who aren't watching YouTube, my opening crack wasn't even a beer; it was a mango White Claw. Like that's how chill I'm being. So you've got your drink, and just repeat the name of that again, and go for it.
Yeah. It's the Passion line, and it's blueberry lemonade. Like I said, last week I tried the strawberry lemonade of this line, and I really liked it. It's probably my new favorite wine, but I'm going to go ahead and try this one here. See, it's so good. It's so good.
That was very ASMR microphone. That was really good.
It is so good. Like there's a hint of carbonation in these lemonade wines. So I found out these are new to L'uva Bella. They're a new line, and there's a little bit of carbonation, and it hits right. And there's a perfect blend. I could drink an entire bottle of wine of this just sitting here. I could probably go through this whole thing. If you like, it's not too it's not too lemony, and it's not too blueberry. It's a good combination. And like I said, we're going to review wines this year that we do not like. But so far, I'm 2 for 2 on my reviews. This is really, really good. Passion strawberry or blueberry lemonade. Sorry. And remember, you can get all of these wines shipped directly to you. I include the link in the YouTube description. I tweet it out. They'll ship them straight to your door. I think you save 10% if you order a case. Ship it straight to you. These wines are not expensive, and they're very good. Trust me. But my wine about it this week is, I noticed during the broadcast, there was a time, I think it was McDowell and someone else that were speeding, and Clint Boyer was just like, oh, the 34 and I forget who it was. He just said the car numbers were speeding. This reminds me of Jim Utter on Twitter, who we all hate. But I
had my mic muted. I did an audible groan that I had my mic muted for, but you saw my face, which is why you're laughing. I went something like, and yeah, I agree.
It's not putting any effort into, depicting and describing what's actually going on. I understand that Clint Boyer and these guys in the booth are looking at a monitor and they're seeing the numbers and they're reading the numbers, and that's why they're saying this in their head. But they need to be smarter. They need to be trained better to actually present the information, because you know what? You're not going to get casual viewers watching these races if you're sitting here pointing out the numbers, especially the way that drivers change cars all the time. Drivers change numbers, cars change numbers. You're not going to continually add to this audience if you are putting in half-assed effort of these broadcasts. So this whole just saying the number and assuming that, obviously you and I know who these drivers are. When he says 34, I know they're talking about Michael McDowell.
In Cup. I couldn't tell you who they are in Xfinity or trucks.
Absolutely not. And like I said, I understand that.
And I honestly, I watch almost every Xfinity or truck race. Not everyone, as we talked about, but I watch a ton of them. I couldn't tell you who the numbers are half the time. I mean, outside of maybe the top 10 or 12 drivers in Xfinity, I don't think I could tell you most of the numbers at all. Even in trucks, the top several drivers, I don't know what Ty Majeski's number is, and he's a championship contender. I don't know what Ben Rhodes' number is. I just don't. I don't follow that series close enough and have those numbers stuck in my head to remember. So you need to inform, and I'm right there with you. You need to inform your audience what the 34 is, because, again, diehards like you and I for Cup know what that is. But we're the exception to the rule. There's millions of people watching, but they're not all the diehards like you and I are.
And yeah, like I am, like anything that I do in life, I try to, like, I work in marketing, and my rule is you need to make things as simple as possible for people to understand. And if you're trying to sell something, you have to make it as easy as possible for them to buy it, and as simple as them for understand why they need it. And just this, like I said, this half-assed presentation is, you add that to the fact that the broadcast isn't that great. You know, you couldn't even, in that specific circumstance, there was no running order on the screen, so you couldn't even look and try to reference a number. Not to mention, if one of them was running outside the top 20, they wouldn't be shown on the screen anyway, because Fox doesn't show anything outside the top 20. You know, it's just, they need to get better with presentation of information and understand that, act like you are presenting this broadcast to people that have never ever watched a race before, and I guarantee you'll be able to attract more viewers. Look at what F1 did with their Netflix series. It's super simple to understand what's going on, whether you've ever seen an F1 race or not.
Yeah, and I want to add something here. Two things, and this is a little bit of a comparison. So you mentioned Clint Boyer. Dale Jr. would not be going, oh, the one car, and if he does,
oh, no,
it's only because it's right there on TV. You know, oh, the one car spinning, but we all see the one car spinning, right? He's not going to say the 34 car got a penalty. Like, Dale Jr. is so informative, so excitable. That's another thing. And very clear with what he's trying to say. And then that's why he's such a good commentator. He might actually be the best commentator of all of them in both NBC and Fox. And I actually
completely agree.
Don't even say might be. I think he is. Because he wouldn't do that. And the only time he would say the 1 or the 34 is if he was already talking about them or they were on the TV at that point in time.
Yep.
Additionally, the other one, so I said 2 points here. You mentioned Jim Utter, and you know who's the opposite of Jim Utter is Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer Bob Pockrass. I've never seen Bob Pockrass just be like, the 34 and the 7, this, that, and the other. He is so detailed and helps people understand. There's a reason people love Bob Pockrass. There's a reason people ask him every question under the sun, because he answers clearly, and so that anybody from the casual to the troll to the diehard can understand what Bob Pockrass is saying. And believe me, there are people who will intentionally troll Bob Pockrass, tweets him and stuff, and he'll still somehow play them off and make himself look like just an incredible... Because he is. I mean, it's genuinely who he is. He's an incredible person, genius, and has all the right information, whether that person's trolling him, is a newbie or an expert. And I think that's the sign of a great, media personality, whether it's on social media or on the TV broadcast or on radio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing about Pockrass is he never half-asses anything. Like, you can ask him the simplest or the most complex question, and he's going to fully answer it. And that's why everyone knows that if you're going to get an answer, you actually want an answer, you're going to get a full answer from Bob Pockrass. But yeah, that is my whine about it this week. Just get better, present information better, and everyone will be happier.
I agree. I guess that means it's time for my whine about it. So this week, I have chosen the Reds line of wine, and it is the Red Blend. And as if you're viewing on YouTube, you can see I haven't opened it yet, so I'm just going to open it right here. Now, last week with the Bourbon Barrel Aged Merlot, which was absolutely incredible. I highly recommend you go buy that. I previewed that, tasted that ahead of time. And the Purple Rain, of course, is the flagship. So I loved both of those. My guess is I'm not going to love this one because red blends just in general just aren't my thing, but I don't know. That is a preconceived, bias that I have, an anchoring bias. So it's time to try the L'uva Bella Winery. Let's go ahead.
I will note that this wine that you're trying is what got me to really like this whole brand. Like,
see, now you're counteracting my anchoring bias, which is good. You're neutralizing it.
I really liked it. Obviously, once I tried Purple Rain became my favorite. But I really liked this when I first tried it. It's what got me to start drinking wine. So let's see what you think about it, though.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and try the L'uva Bella Winery's Red what is it called? Reds line. It is their red blend. So time for the ASMR sip. All right, it's just like I thought. And when I say I dislike, I don't dislike it. I wouldn't go to that wine because it's not my style, but it's very neutral. So if you don't want something acidic or sharp or super, in terms of like a white wine, which this is not a white wine, if you didn't want something super buttery or whatever, this is a very neutral wine, which if you're getting into wine, I think this is the perfect starter wine. It is not a wine for me because I've, Jordan's pointing to himself and saying me. It is a perfect starter wine. And I think that's what got you into it. I think this is absolutely right. I think it's a perfect starter wine because it's incredibly neutral. It has some flavor, like not overpowering flavor. So it's a good transition from other drinks you might drink, to this. So, I will drink it. I don't dislike it. I don't think I will dislike anything but maybe a really buttery Chardonnay, which is a white wine. I typically don't think I'll dislike anything, and there's very few things I dislike, even on foods. This isn't my go-to wine, but I totally will absolutely drink this whole bottle, no problem. There's no doubt about that. It's not a bad, unpleasant flavor. It's a very good flavor. I just, I don't think it's enough flavor, enough differentiation for something that I would prefer, just given the fact that I do like drinking a lot of different wines. But totally will absolutely drink it all. And if you are not a wine drinker, you should get into wine drinking with this L'uva Bella Winery Reds Line Red Blend. So, I think that's what got Jordan into it. So, it's the perfect... What do they call it? The gateway drug? This is the perfect gateway wine.
Yes.
One more sip here. So I have to get into my wine about it, and I was debating between two of them. So I'll let you pick, Jordan, which of the two I do. So topic number 1 is Alex Bowman, and topic number 2 is the location of the championship race.
Oh, man. Let's do location of championship race.
All right. So this is what we're going to do. Phoenix is the location of the championship race. And we just saw the race at Phoenix. I think a lot of people were underwhelmed. And we saw this last year with Martinsville, where a lot of people were underwhelmed by the first Martinsville race. And the second one was actually really good.
Yep.
The problem here is we don't have the crazy cold temperatures. We don't have an excuse for why this could have been really bad. And again, I don't think it was really bad. I just don't think it's not a championship-worthy race. It's just not. Phoenix is not a championship-worthy race. And I understand NASCAR can't do anything about it, but Phoenix was not a championship-worthy race 2020, 2021, 2022. It's not a championship-worthy race. We need to move on. I don't understand what was wrong with Homestead. It produced great racing every year. It still does. And I don't necessarily think Homestead needs to be the championship race every year, but we got to have better races than Phoenix for the championship race. This has to be the last year. Please, NASCAR. The other thing is making it a one-race championship. I understand why they're doing it. It is the second Super Bowl that NASCAR has. You kick off the year with the Daytona 500 Super Bowl. You end with a one-race thing, but it does tend to lead to an advantage for certain driving styles and or teams by having it be a one-race thing. I think while I love the playoff format by and large, I think it would be better to have potentially a multi-round or a multi-faceted way to decide the championship. So that's less my whine about it, more than just like, come on, we got to move on from Phoenix as the championship race. And we're trying to make Phoenix better. If we're trying to make Phoenix better, that already is a problem there for it being your championship race. If you've already made changes to make it better, you're already pointing out your championship race has a problem. So why are we still doing this? Just, I don't have anything else to add. It's a very short whine about it, but that's my whine about it.
So is Phoenix locked in to be the finale next year too? Or I thought they were thinking about changing it.
I honestly, I don't know, but my whole point is, whether it's locked in or not, it needs to change.
Yeah. And like, do you think we need to cut down to just one Phoenix race too? Or is two still fine?
I think we should cut down to one. I think Martinsville is enough of a novelty where you can make it two. But between Richmond and Phoenix, we should not have 4 races.
Oh, no.
We should not have 4 Phoenix and Richmond races. We need more diversity. So, that's kind of a secondary point to the championship race. But I agree with you there. Between Richmond and Phoenix, we should not have 4 of these. And I understand you want shorter, flatter tracks on the schedule. But then just move at least one of them to a different shorter, flat track. I think maybe there's potential that North Wilkesboro will come back as on the main schedule. Which would be great. So, and I'm not criticizing NASCAR because I know they're always trying to work on the schedule. And I honestly think they've made a lot of improvements from years past. And, I just think as far as championship race specifically, we have to move on. It's not doing it for me. I don't get excited about Phoenix like I do about Homestead for the championship race. I never have, and I don't think I ever will. With that in mind, with the diversity and all that stuff, and this comes back to what Greg Mathern tweeted about. He's glad the Atlanta race is no longer 500 miles; it's 400 miles. And maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe you agree. I always want more NASCAR racing. When the race ends, I'm just like, God, I cannot believe we have to wait 7 more days for the next Cup race. I don't want these races ever to end because I love Cup racing, and there is nothing that will get me to want shorter races. I just love NASCAR racing. I love IndyCar racing so much that I get a little bummed. Like, I get excited, obviously, when the race is over, especially if my guys won or, my bets won. But I don't like waiting a whole week for the next race. And I understand. I'm, don't have kids, so I don't have things to do or take care of, etc., necessarily as much as other parents do. But that's always been the case. Parents have always been parents throughout history. I remember growing up, NASCAR races were predominantly 500 miles. And, I guess that's what I'm attuned to. But obviously, this modern age with cell phones and electronics and all that stuff, I don't care. That just makes me want to watch the race more with all this stuff because I can then tell my friends that I don't get to watch with in real time. We can chat about the race or whatever, So it's, it doesn't matter whether it's electronics or in person or not. I just want more racing. I love racing. This is why I do this. So this is a secondary rant because you made me think about it when we were talking about schedule changes and stuff. And I was like, well, we've changed the schedule, all that. I don't know. I always want more racing. And I really also obviously don't want Phoenix to continue to be the championship race.
Yeah, I think we don't realize how spoiled we were when Homestead was the championship race. I feel like that's a very good track. It mixes in the 1.5 mile aspect of the schedule while also mixing in the fact that you need to be really good as a driver with tire wear and managing that throughout the race. Another track that I could see,
and it mixes in, not just the 1.5 mile, and not just the tire wear, but like. It's not the true 1.5 mile. It's not your typical cookie cutter 1.5 mile. So it presents some steep trackness type stuff as well. A little bit of Dover, Bristol style, but also on asphalt instead of concrete. I thought it was a really good average track, so to speak.
Yeah, you have to be a wheelman to run well there.
Oh God! And speaking of wheelman, I was cracking up at one point while you were talking because. I tweeted a little thing like going into Atlanta. I was like, I have no idea why Kyle Larson's co-favorite for Atlanta at half these books. And at NASCAR Probs replied to me, and you should follow them. They're only got 65 followers, but they do some NASCAR analytics as well. Yeah, they're good. So NASCAR Probs at NASCAR Probs tweets me, yeah, but have you considered that he's a wheelman about Kyle Larson? I just couldn't stop laughing. So shout outs to them. Thank you for listening to the podcast and very much enjoy the work you do. So keep it up.
Yeah. Speaking of one more thing, like I think Homestead was the perfect option for a championship race. Second would be, in my opinion, Darlington. Throw Darlington in there. And again, it's another high wear track.
Darlington would be an incredible championship race. The problem is it's the Southern 500 Labor Day weekend crown jewel. I don't think that'll ever change.
Yeah, that's true. But we can hope. But speaking, one more thing before we end this. Speaking of people listening to this podcast, I didn't even tell you this. Last week's episode, 4th most listened to in the history of this podcast. So nice. Since Daytona, we have 3 of the top 4 ever listened to episodes. So thank you everybody that listened.
And the only other one was right after somebody won $1 million.
Exactly. So, so thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, L'uva Bella, for sponsoring this podcast. As I said, you can get these wines shipped directly to your door. I'll drop the link in the YouTube description. I'll drop the link on Twitter. If you don't want to get them shipped to you, they are in the big stores. They're in Kroger, they're in Meijer, they're in Walmart. They're in states, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia. Please try these wines. We are not lying to you when we say they're good. Check them out.